every single Thursday we do this. So quick call to action. If you're watching live, go ahead and get in the live chat. Let me know your final take before we jump into week 3 of the college football season. We do a lot of content on this show. We'll have more content that comes out from the YouTube channel that we don't do on the live show. We'll have more content on my socials at JD Pickell, but this is kind of like our last chance to have a discussion with you during a live capacity and give you our final take. So I will say this too. We have a PrizePicks play a little bit later in this segment. So here's a quick read for you. PrizePicks, if you don't know, they're bringing you the hard count this year, and we're fired up about it. Use code HARDCOUNT when you play a $5 lineup. Gets you $50 in promo funds. And y'all have done a great job supporting this show with PrizePicks using that code, so we thank you for that. If you want to support the show, use that code when you sign up, and it helps us. It helps us get the show to more people, so we appreciate you for that. Again, Caleb Williams, free square, half a passing yard all September. So go ahead and lock that in, and we'll have a good time. Again, another square a little bit later in this segment for you. So one of my final takes going into week 3, I think we see Alabama offensively open it up a little bit more, because they've rolled the last couple of weeks in the box score. They didn't really roll so much against USF. Kind of took some extra juice, some extra fuel in that fourth quarter to pull away from USF. But the first week against Western Kentucky, roll, score 63. End up scoring north of 40 against USF. But I still don't think we've seen the full bag from Kalen DeBoer, and that makes sense. Against those two teams, you're probably not going to be too complex to show too much because, again, you do play Georgia here in a few weeks. But I think against Wisconsin, with them being on the road, with it being a Big Ten team that brings back 70% production from last year's defense that was really solid, allowed right around 20 points a game, I think this is the spot now where we see Kalen DeBoer not show everything, but I think he does give you one of these hey, here's maybe just a little appetizer. Something for Georgia to work with on film. Something for LSU to work with on film. I think we see them be a little bit more complex. Again, not the full range, but I think we see him go in the bag a little bit. I expect Jalen Milroe to have a massive day against Wisconsin. Stay tuned for more thoughts on him on the On3 YouTube channel. We'll have some PrizePicks content there, but I think Alabama kind of revs the engine a little bit offensively. It won't be so vanilla. It'll be a little more vanilla with some caramel drizzled on there, maybe some Heath bar, maybe some M&Ms. You kind of get a little more complex this week if you're Alabama on offense. Now, I had a full segment about this earlier on in this show. We'll have that segment cut for you out on the YouTube channel, so go check it out. But I think this is the week now we see Florida bow up a little bit. And honestly, some of this is hoping Florida bows up, because if not now, then when? Because I expected them to look a certain way against Miami, saw no trace of them. I think now, with everything said about your head coach, with all the conversation around what this team wouldn't accomplish this upcoming season, I think this is the game now. We see Florida snap back into it. You're at home. I'm excited to see how they look against Texas A&M, because I think overall they'll look much more like a year 3 outfit. I think they'll be much more disciplined, and I think they'll play with some fire for Billy Napier. I really do. We saw that last year multiple times, the way they pushed Missouri, the way they pushed Florida State, the way they came back against South Carolina. I think we're going to see them really kind of play with a little bit more juice, and I think we see them beat Texas A&M. So, final thought, Florida looks like the Florida team we thought we would see against Miami when they play Texas A&M. Now, here's the PrizePicks play for you. I think Garrett Nussmeier and Kyron Lacey are about to be essentially that picture you see going around social media whenever it's LeBron and Dwayne Wade with the alley-oop. Dwayne Wade's doing this, LeBron's back there just throwing back a tomahawk dunk. That is Kyron Lacey and Garrett Nussmeier this week. I don't trust the South Carolina secondary just yet. I like them. I like what they did against Kentucky. Don't get it twisted. They looked awesome against Kentucky. But I think with how good Kyron Lacey is and how much they're going to make a point to feed him the football, this is the week where you see a little run game early from LSU, kind of isolate some matchups on the perimeter, and then by the second half, I think Kyron Lacey has a massive day. I think he has over 100 yards receiving. Wouldn't be surprised if he had multiple touchdowns. So the PrizePicks play for us here, again, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds. Lock in now with us. His number is 73.5 receiving yards. Take the more there. Pair it with the Caleb Williams free square of more than half a passing yard, redeem code HARDCOUNT, and just count it up afterwards, all right, is what I'm trying to say there. So I don't think anyone can stick with him, and I think he has a massive day. Now, here's a couple more like macro takes, if you will. Not so much team specific, but more so like the sport specific. And I thought about doing a segment like this to start the show, but with the Pac-12 news, it just seemed like maybe we should check some other boxes, and maybe we'll do a segment like this early on next week. But like, I just think we have to realize now that we cannot use old rules in college football to assess the new game that college football is. And I'm not talking about specific rules with targeting. I'm talking about like a lot of teams now across the landscape, we're just counting out of the whole college football playoff conversation. Like, we're just leaving some of these teams for dead after a loss. Those are the old rules that apply to the BCS. Those are the old rules that in some way apply to the college football playoff 4-team model. It does not apply to the 12-team model. Like Michigan, they are not dead. They got to fix the offense. Don't get it twisted. They got to figure it out on offense, but like they're not left for dead. Same thing with Clemson. Are they on Georgia's level? No, absolutely not. Scoreboard proves that. Are they a team that could still win the ACC? Y'all know I love Syracuse. All right, I'm high on Syracuse. I mean, they're our team. We've adopted on this show. Love Miami. Clemson can give any of those guys a game, I think. Should they find them in the last game of this season in the conference title game? Clemson, don't leave them for dead. LSU. They lost to USC, soft West Coast team. I don't know. I've seen Brian Kelly lose a couple openers now, and his team still finishes winning 10 football games. I wouldn't leave them for dead. So what I'm trying to say here is Notre Dame is the same thing. They got to play better against NIU. That's pretty straightforward. They have to bring more to the table than they did on that Saturday. Are they done? 11-1 Notre Dame gets in. I'll just say that right now. So let's not leave these teams for dead. Do they have to play better? Of course. Is what they've shown so far inspiring? No. But are they out of the race? Are they just dead? Should they be left for dead? Absolutely not. Got to retrain our brains there a little bit. Last thing I'll say here, going back to what I was getting at with the Colorado State-Colorado game, there's so much said around NIL and the portal and the way we have professionalized college football. And if you know me, I think NIL is a good thing. I think the portal is a good thing. But let's not pretend that culture doesn't matter anymore in college football. People will be very quick to say, well, hey, JD, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, the way that he goes to the portal, you think he's having a culture conversation with his football team? I'll say this. We talked to Jackson Dart at SEC Media Days, and their culture may not be the same as like, again, I'm not in the building there, so it may not have the same like lock arms, fuzzy feelings and all those vibes, but there is the culture of pro mindset. I do my job. Sounds like kind of the same thing that those Bama teams would say, right? Like that's kind of the same approach there, same culture of accountability, right? Be a professional. That's Ole Miss's culture. So as much as we talk about the new college football, culture, I believe, still wins in college football. You will not see a team hoist the national championship just because they have the best players. Might help, might get them in the dance, might get them in the door, but like culture, I still believe, is ultimately what allows you to win at the highest level. Talent, non-negotiable. But if you want to win the whole deal, culture still wins in college football. And you're seeing that now week in and week out with these teams having to play their best games and avoiding letdowns. Culture is also massive in that as well. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.